Hi, Julie. Oh, we're live now. Oh, hi. Lauren Gray, Hospitality Digital Marketing, covering live coverage of the HSMAI's Digital Marketing Conference, and I have the pleasure, the real genuine pleasure, of having Walter with us with Milestone Internet. Walter, thank you. Thank you for taking the time with us. And kind of getting a chance to, we're talking with everybody, not just for being at the conference, but also your sponsorship and your support of everything HSMAI has been doing. And of course, the Digital Marketing Conference Milestone has been around for, I mean, it's been one of the ardent supporters for years and years.
Absolutely.
And for all good reasons. I am self-professed dear friend of Banu, dear friend of Ano. I love Milestone, love everything you guys are doing in development. So I'm going to be a very biased person to speak with. So it's not as if you have to convince me of anything other than shared mutual admiration of what you're doing. But probably for any real reason, just quick review, a little bit about Milestone, a little bit about people can understand about Milestone, and I'll let you lead from that point.
Sure, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. Appreciate the opportunity. Probably, kind of give you, before I tell you about Milestone, I'll give you the personal perspective, if you will. I'm relatively new to Milestone. I'm the VP of Marketing for the company. I've been with the company for about 5 months now.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be with the company. I spent about the last 10 years or so in the business intelligence industry, and one of the things that truly attracted me to the opportunity to join Milestone was their deep technology expertise. One of the questions that we get on a fairly frequent basis is, well, so are you an agency or are you a software company? Which are you? And honestly, the answer to the question is yes, because we're both. And that's actually the key value proposition that we bring to the table, is the fact that we are both an agency, we have the expertise of an agency, but we don't stop there. We're not just an agency. We're an agency that owns its technology, owns its tools, and that goes a level deeper than just not playing the blame game as far as saying, well, it doesn't work because the WordPress doesn't work or because the vendor isn't fixing the problems. It also goes to a deeper level of being able to stay ahead of technology. One of the reasons why we can be first to market with world first like ADA conforming websites for the hospitality industry, things like AMP, as far as we know, the only company in the hospitality space that's developing AMP pages around Google's AMP project. One of the reasons we can do that is because we have the deep technology expertise and because we are both a software company and an agency. So that's really the Milestone story in a nutshell, is that, one of the things that I've been telling people, that I've been sharing here at the conference, that it's sort of been a bit of an aha moment for me, as an outsider, if you will, a little bit to the vertical, is that, one of the things that I think is about to happen, the computer industry has gone through 2 major inflection points prior to today. One was the advent of the microcomputer, the original PCs, right, the desktops and so on. That started a revolution. The second one, I believe, a lot of people point to the internet. I think it was actually email. Without email, the internet wouldn't have happened.
Very true.
Email was
or the desire to use it kind of thing.
Exactly. Now, because of email, other things happened, like the internet, and that's for the second revolution. The third one is artificial intelligence. And I think AI is going to completely change the way people interact with information. Companies like Amazon are playing with conversations around things like headless transactions, meaning I simply pick up a phone and I say, I want to buy flowers for my wife, send them to, and everything gets done without me ever touching a website, touching a computer, looking at anything. Take that exercise, take that conversation and translate it to the hospitality industry. In 5-10 years, we're going to have people saying things like, book a room between $200 and $300 a night near Union Square in San Francisco between this date and this date, and they're going to do it without ever touching a computer.
I think the only thing I'll disagree with you is the timetable. I think it's actually going to happen sooner, but I completely agree with you with it. You're being conservative, because I think, honestly, in the next 2 to 3 years, we're already at that point now where we're trying to decide the attribution of a click when we make a single transaction verbally now. It's already in that process of realizing that by fulfillment, we have to account for it some sort of analytic-wise, and that's already happening. So I agree with you. I'm probably being more optimistic that it's short term because I want it sooner rather than later.
Well, and I think from a hospitality perspective, not just as a vendor, but also as both a consumer and, again, as I said earlier, as a little bit of a quote-unquote outsider still to the vertical. I think it's in the best interest, and I know the larger organizations are probably already on that path, but just about anybody in this business, whether you're a management company, whether you're an individual hotel, whether you're a luxury hotel, whether you're a select service hotel, whatever the case may be, you need to start thinking about this sort of stuff. You need to start thinking about what's my best technology path to get to this point? How do I empower myself to get there in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time? And there's a whole host of conversation that goes beyond just having a pretty website. It goes beyond just having good email marketing campaigns. That's just the 10,000 foot view. You have to start going deeper than that. And you have to find, and if I can put a little bit of a shameless plug, you have to find partners like Milestone that have the technology stack, that don't just go at the surface level, that can have that conversation, that can be that technology expert for you. Now, that's part of the value proposition that we bring to the table.
Most definitely. I mean, if anybody has a doubt as to, Banu is, again, unabashedly again, a friend, but I have never ever seen anybody be able to go toe to her on SEO.
Right.
I'm just not saying from the hospitality space.
Yeah,
I'm talking
just in
about
general.
SEO.
Right.
I mean, she will, and she isn't mean in any stretch of the imagination, but she will back up everything with enough information to make you overwhelmingly convincingly know that her position on it is absolutely crystal clear.
Right.
Of anything I can ever have said about Milestone through its entire continuity is SEO is so rock solid as to what you all do provide as a service. It is phenomenal. I know no other entity, they may be close to or similar as or whatever, but from somebody that I know firsthand experience, SEO is by far. And then to your point about having your own technology now, I know there was quite an achievement to be able to get to that point where, I mean, face it, in the industry there's a lot of white labeling that goes on, and it's great that people can take and construct around other people's technologies.
Absolutely.
But to take on the self-assumed we're going to replace everybody else's technology with your own, because on the other side of that sword is there is nobody to hide behind.
Nope.
I mean, if it can't be done, it's because you're not doing it, not because somebody else isn't doing it for you.
Exactly.
So it puts a certain level of service level up front now that a lot of other people can't tout to.
Right.
A lot of others still have to rely on the fact that there's a Merkle out there, or there's a digital alchemy out there, or whatever. Now, you can work in symbiotic relationships with them.
Sure, absolutely.
But in the sense of taking the purity of what you're doing, you run literally from beginning to end the entire process. And I've had conversations where, of course, people say proprietary, you're stuck, and so forth. And it's like, it's not a stuck issue. It's a decision, strategic issue. Do you really want to worry about that stuff? I mean, when you always say, well, I'll fix my own house. Do you really want to fix your own house, or do you want to have the professional fix your own house? Do you want the plumber to work on the plumbing and the electrician to work on the electricity, compared to you fumbling through a YouTube version of how to fix electricity? So that's a huge step in service, I think.
No, absolutely, and that's a very valid point, because as a matter of fact, and this is more of an issue, not so much an issue, but something that we bring to the table outside of the hospitality space. Hospitality is one of multiple verticals we work in. In other verticals, one of the conversations we have with folks is, look, if you're a retailer, oftentimes retailers want to use their own technology. They're very sophisticated companies that have a lot of deep technology stacks. That's okay. We can work with your technology. We can bring the skills and the expertise that we have in working with these tools to the table and bear to the conversation. But if you're in a hotel vertical where, do you really want to make the kind of investment that you're talking about in terms of purchasing software? You're not talking about spending, typical software stack. If you're going to invest in it, you're looking about $1 million acquisition by the time you're done just buying the software. You haven't even started with services.
And you talk about commitment level at that point. If you're in for that, you're in for permanently. You can't even get off that train.
Exactly. Having been in the enterprise industry for as long as I was prior to joining Milestone, I can tell you from personal experience, you're talking about 18-month purchase cycles and $1 million of acquisition costs.
You don't make money right off the bat with
No.
it. It's an integration issue.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a huge level of investment decisions that get made that nobody understands why you're doing what you're doing, or even know that you're doing what you're doing until you can present it to market. And then by then, it has to have had all the wrinkles out. It has to have all the functionalities in place. Yeah, there's a lot behind all of that. So when people look at it, it's like, oh, well, I'm comparing you to XYZ agency over here. XYZ agency is really just using everybody else's stuff, and yes, they're providing strategic involvement. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're a place of value. Yes,
there's a value.
But if you're looking at scalability, platform integrations, the ability to always know that you're on the front edge of things, then this integration that you guys have taken has been a phenomenal investment for you.
Well, and that's why I kind of want to bring back to the conversation we started with, which is, to me, the difference basically comes down to, as we start talking about things like headless transactions, as I call them, it's the difference between saying, we can get you there in the next couple of years. If you rely on someone having to rely on a third party, first of all, you have to depend on that third party having the software get to a point where it can work in that kind of an environment. That may happen in the next 2 years, that may not happen in the next 2 years, it may be in the next 4 or 5 years. So it's a question whether you want to be there as it happens or whether you want to be there 4 or 5 years after it's happened.
Right.
And at that point, who knows what's going to happen.
And also, to then, you're just a part of a crowd.
Right.
You're really just using already shared integrations of stuff, and you're not really, unless you use it differently than somebody else, but even then, there's been people that have been in that category too.
Exactly.
That the early adopters, the one that figured out how to connect the dots, and then you're just following the path that they've kind of sown.
Exactly.
So.
And it's been interesting for me, very educational for myself as well. I know in this industry, in this vertical, a lot of people look to people like Airbnb as kind of like, is it a threat? What kind of a threat? Are they changing the game? And the way I like to look at it is, I think Airbnb is just a first salvo. Mm-hmm. I think it's personally, I think, and again, I could be wrong. I'm the guy that
we all have those angles. Yeah, we have compasses, but yes.
I see an opportunity for somebody to come in who's going to look at this market and say, wow, I can come in with a deeper technology stack, a better understanding of how voice search works, a better understanding of how to put these packages together, and I can really get ahead of the technology curve and really create a very interactive, very dynamic, very personalized experience for consumers and do a better job. Now, there's a lot between here and there, obviously, but I think that's the real opportunity. I wouldn't call it a threat. I personally believe that's the real opportunity for the hotel industry, is to look at that and say, let's get ahead of it.
Sure.
Let's be the ones that lead that revolution rather than wait for somebody to come along and force the revolution upon us.
Well, given where your corporate headquarters in San Jose is, I can't help but bear the analogy between that and Apple. Apple has always contained beginning to end product control. And because of that, they've been able to keep a lot of things that have taken down their competitors in some category or another because of the openness or whatever. And to that end, what you're saying, bringing to market something that is going to be comprehensively something that advances you, you already have gotten ahead of everybody else. I mean, there are competitors in market, to be fair, that are trying to do similar things.
Sure,
they're in the process of doing those things as well. But then there are those who are choosing not to do that and look at the contrary to that conversation. And so from a user's point of view, there are choices to be made. But from an evaluation process, what would you say are the critical components to why Milestone as a selection choice is strong? Other than what we've talked about, just obviously the end-to-end thing, the scalability is by far. But what are some of the other components that you say are valuable things to consider as to why Milestone would be a better choice?
Sure, absolutely. I think number one, obviously, it begins with understanding the target customer and the needs of the target customer. Milestone has almost 20 years of experience in this vertical and in this industry. They've been around. They've done pretty much all aspects of it.
If they hadn't started it already, yeah.
Exactly. If you look at our customer mix, more than 50% of our customers are independent hotels. We do a lot of business with the large hospitality chains. We do a lot of business with ownership groups. We do a lot of business with management companies. So, we're agnostic to the type of business that you operate in the vertical space. The reason that's important is because as a company, we understand the unique requirements of each one of those types of organizations. So we're going to tailor solutions specifically to the needs of that particular customer. I think the second part comes down to being able to create and deliver a full 360-degree view of your digital marketing strategy. The sort of edict that I like to bring to the table that we've started to use is create, engage, understand. We have tools and services that let you create content, deliver that content to your consumers, engage with your audiences, engage your messaging with that target consumers, and then measure and understand what's happening to that messaging so you can then cycle back and modify the content and continue that loop. Because, I'm a firm believer in closed loop marketing. It's, something I've done for the last 10 years or 15 years of my life. And I think those are the kinds of things that Milestone brings to the table. So you're not having to say, well, this particular agency does my website, and then I'm going to go talk to this other agency that does my digital marketing, and then there's this other piece of software over here that I have that does my analytics for me. It's all being done by one group that starts with strategy, that creates a cohesive strategy, a holistic strategy for you, and then puts it all together.
And to that end, again, when you talk about even some simplistic things as dashboards and integrations of data, even though they're not connected, they still have value. You're actually adding the extra component to it, which is the connectivity of the data.
Exactly.
So you create, not dysfunctional, it's a bad way of saying it, disconnected comparisons.
Exactly.
Because they're pulling from the same opportunity to compare against.
A perfect example of what I'm talking about is one of the things that we're actually, one of the upgrades that we're launching here at HSMAI is an upgrade to our Milestone Analytics tool, which is a data analytics platform. And one of the upgrades that we're launching at HSMAI is something that we call customer journey analytics. And because of the fact that we're a full service organization, we actually have the ability to connect to your social media feeds. We have the ability to connect to your PPC, your SEO campaigns, to all the content that you work with. In a lot of respects, also whether you work with us or not, but especially if you're a milestone customer.
Sure.
And be able to then give you a true representation of your engagement across the customer journey. So what's contributing most to the awareness stage of your campaigns? What's contributing most to the conversion stage? Where are you underspending? Where are you overspending? That kind of analytics that then lets you say, what should my marketing mix be? Should I be investing more in PPC on Bing versus Google? Am I under-investing in one area, over-investing in another? These are the kind of metrics that as a marketing organization in the hospitality industry, we're going to have to start doing more and more and more of.
At a faster pace, too.
At a faster pace to truly optimize the spend. Because let's face it, somebody talked about it this morning. I've never believed in the adage, whether it's on hospitality or outside of it, that companies have unlimited marketing budgets. There's no such thing. The scale of your limits gets larger.
Yes.
But you always have unlimited demands and limited budgets.
Yes.
A startup with 10 employees has a marketing budget with very small limitations, but they have limitations. General Motors has their own share of limitations in their marketing
Everybody
budgets.
has their own
Everybody
limitations.
has them.
Just to
So
the scale.
it's always about optimizing your spend. And always, everybody has to make that decision. It's just a question of your decisions you're making are, should I be spending $10,000 more over here? Or you're saying, should I be spending $160,000 more over here?
Right.
Or bigger?
Right, it's all to the scale of the size. Absolutely, good, excellent point too. Gosh, I mean, folks out, you have to come on the live show on Fridays, just because we need more time to go and talk about things. For those who are interested in reaching out to Milestone, what do you think is the best way to reach out to you directly? Reach out to you? How do you want them to connect with you?
Probably by far the best way is come to our website, engage with us with our website. If they want to reach out to me directly as well, that's also an option. I'll be more than happy to get them in touch with the right person inside Milestone.
Okay.
My personal, if you want to give out my personal
Please,
email
go right ahead.
address,
Yes, please.
walter.p@milestoneinternet.com. So just reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to put you in touch with the right people. If it's an opportunity to engage from a customer perspective, I'll make sure the right salesperson gets a hold of it. If it's partnership opportunities with the marketing department, happy to have that conversation as well.
Awesome. Walter, thank you so very much for your time today.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming onto the show live. Of course, open invitation, and please, I hope you accept to come onto the live show.
Absolutely.
We have a little bit more time to
I look
bounce back
forward
and
to
forth and bring up some case studies and all the rest of the stuff.
Look forward to it.
Thank you very much, and for everyone else, thank you for joining us. And with that, we will say